Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 20th of April 2020. Today we're going to run through a few pairs. We're going to look for some pairs that are looking to potentially turn around based on currency strength, and then we'll go down to the smaller time frames and identify some lovely supply and demand areas or buy and sell zones that we can expect price to have a bit of a reaction at. So before we start, I'm going to grab the histogram. This is the version that's coming out very soon. I'm going to leave the default settings, which are just fine, and I'm going to enable the scanning of all of the symbols here. We're on the monthly chart, so this is a lot of data here. So we're going to click on OK, and it's now scanning all of these pairs, and it's given us some pairs to look at. So if we go here, we disable the alarm, so we can drag these over, and I'm going to look at these one by one. So I'll leave this window open, and I'll go to the Swiss franc Kiwi. I'm just going to find that pair. Here it is. I'm going to drag it on there and see what's setting up. And you can see here that we are really low. Okay, so if we look at historical levels, last time we came down to these levels here, had a big turnaround. We had another nice one here. We had lovely divergence at this level. We had another push down here, and now we're really low. You can see here that we were approaching these levels here. When I say levels, I don't mean price levels, I mean currency strength levels. Okay, and this data here, this is not an ordinary currency strength piece of software. It's doing a lot of really interesting calculations that enable us to draw some conclusions on the probability of a pair moving in a certain direction. And so when the histogram, which is the gray lines here, when they move through this green level here, there's a very good likelihood that we are going to move higher from here. And when it moves through the red one, then there's a good likelihood that we're going to move down. Okay, look at the last time we reached this histogram historically. We lined up perfectly with here. So if we had an algo trader in place that was trading these areas here, we would have been in the money in a major way. It went, what, 3,500 pips at least from there. Okay, so very interesting data. So you can see this. Okay, and so what we would normally do is we go to a smaller time frame and find a place where we can expect price to come back to before it continues higher. So if we look at this, you can see, this was the push lower. We can see this also on the 4-hour chart. Price came down and we left. So price came to this area here. Like, it started to tell us that we were starting to reach these very oversold areas. Oversold, it's not oversold, it's referring to currency strength. Okay, so a very weak currency here. You can see it came down to here. We had a spike into that level. Let's put that level on the chart. Okay, so we were started to be informed of this here. And so you think like, wow, price keeps going down. And so you ask yourself, well, what's going on? Why is price continuing to go lower when we're getting price charts? So when we have pin bars like this, and this is because price is essentially, it's advertising cheap prices. So we're looking for people to buy. So we're driving price lower. We're trying to onboard both buyers and sellers. Okay, so sellers, so that we can stop them out, so that we can buy up the liquidity that is flushed into the market when their stops are hit, and buyers, because we are simply advertising these very low prices. Okay, so when this happens, when we have one push and then two push, then price stabilizes and begins to move higher. Well, this is kind of telling us that we are probably going to have maybe another pullback before we continue higher, based on the strength information that we've seen on the monthly chart. And so here you can see that we're currently reacting at this. Okay, and also another comment before we move on, and that is that the distribution of liquidity is a slow process. It's not happening instantaneously. You have to think about, there are speculators, and there are institutions, and there are companies exchanging one currency for another all day long, all the time, all over the world. And so the process is pretty slow. Actually, it doesn't happen quickly. So when people think, oh no, I missed that trade, it's a bit like, no, you didn't. You could probably wait another day and still manage to get into that trade if you wanted. Okay, you just have to be very patient. And the beauty of that is that once you understand that there is no rush, then there's no pressure, and it completely alleviates kind of the anxiety that is related to missing out on a trade. Okay, so notice that price already came back down there. It's never going to come back down there again. And we already had this area, now it left. And we had this area, which was tested, and now it left. And we had this one, and it's been tested. It's been like, whoa, steady on, steady on. Price has to go lower in order to attract buyers. You go to the small time frames, and this is where you can see this going on. You can see that, I mean, you'd have thought like, price already left. We're already all the way up here. Where did price go to? It went to demand. The software would have told you this. Okay, the beginning of the buy zone at this stage was here. We have this area of demand. The slingshot was pulled back, and then it went up. Okay, so you want to be paying a price no more expensive than this or lower. Price came to that. We had a bounce. We came a little bit lower, and this is where we managed to attract some buying, and this is where price left from. Okay, we actually poked into this little price nodule here. Let's see if that lines up nicely with this pullback here, the slingshot. See, price tested it. What does that mean? That means that you don't want to pay a price any more expensive than this. But if you look here, you can see that we actually have a slingshot that was pulled back. I've got to zoom in so you can see this. You can see this candle right here. What's the low of this candle? It's right there. That's the low. So I'm putting this line exactly on the low. Where did price come to? Exactly to that low. Okay, is it magic? It's absolutely not magic. It has to do this. The market has to do this. Okay, good. So it came back there, and this is where price left. And notice here we had one here. Price came up, nothing happened. We came up, nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened. But we managed to, each time price went down, we attracted more buyers, more buyers, more buyers, and we started to form these higher lows. And then price was rallying. We started to form these continuation patterns above demand, telling us that the market is now lopsided, so we have more demand for the Kiwi than we do for the Swiss franc. Okay, and this is why we're seeing this move higher. So price leaves, and you might think, oh no, I missed out on the trade. No, you didn't. You had a day or two to wait for price to come back, which it did. Okay, good. Let's have a look at the Australian dollar, Singaporean dollar. So this is a monthly chart analysis, so we're going to have a look at that. Aussie Singapore. Let's find, here it is. So this is a very negative number, so we can expect that it's probably going to wriggle higher. Let's mark that off. And I don't really have any more data than that from my broker, so I'll have to zoom in. And this has been negative for a very long time, hasn't it? I mean, look at this. We're down here, and depending on what was going, there's not enough data here. I mean, when you don't have enough data like this, we're also on the monthly chart. When you only have this data, the software needs at least 50 periods to calculate. It needs 50 periods in its current configuration to calculate this candle right here, this histogram. And let's see how many periods we have. We have 91. So it's only able to calculate currency strength for the last 40 periods. So the last 40 periods. So from here to here. Okay, this stuff here, there's not enough data to calculate this. So the data from here and back is invalid. Okay, and so when you see something like this where there's so little data, you have to be a little bit careful. You want to see more data. You want to see much more data. And MT4 brokers are pretty notorious for doing that, for not having enough data, which is a bit of a blow, but those are the rules. So yes, I mean we're alarming that price would turn around already here. Let's put this line in. We're alarming that price is going to turn around here. This one here. Okay, so we would have done miserably here. And this is because there's not enough data for the analysis to be performed, which is unfortunate, but that happens. So you want to see like a significant number of periods visible. Okay, so I wouldn't look at monthly currency strength. I would probably look at weekly, because weekly we have plenty of data. Okay, and if you look on the weekly chart, you can see that this looks much more normalized. And we only had a price reaching this very low value from this candle here. Then price had another push, and this is where we managed to find some buyers, which has resulted in price moving higher. Okay, That's better. But let's go to the monthly chart and continue with the next one. Have the Aussie Yen. Here we have data. Here we have enough data. Notice here that we were starting to be informed of the fact that this might slow down and stop moving lower at this candle here. Okay, we got just through, so probably at the lows of this candle. Come on, I'm gonna remove it. The lows of this candle, we were being told that, okay, we're probably going to start to slow down and turn around. So let's have a look on the weekly chart and see what that looks like. And the weekly chart was telling us something similar, but not until this candle. So we got the alert that we were potentially moving higher at this candle here, on this candle here, which is the lowest candle. And isn't that amazing? Okay, and so, I mean, what we've done so far has actually told us that you maybe want to be a little bit careful with the monthly chart because you're not going to have enough data. Okay, and so maybe move down to the weekly chart, and we can do that in just a second. Okay, so we're informed we had beautiful, on the weekly chart we had a beautiful signal. We were told here. Let's go to the 4-hour chart and find that low point. So the lowest point is here. Okay, and this is where price started to move away. You can see that we had closes above the highs of these bases. Another one, price came back, tested, came back and tested. Okay, so we had there's a lot of reasons to tell us that price is going to move higher, because we're dipping into monthly and weekly extreme readings for the currency strength, which is telling us that we're probably going to start to move higher. And so price is doing what? It's moving higher, which is fascinating. Okay, let's have a look at the Aussie Swiss franc. Here, let's click that on there. Again, we're on the monthly chart. Here we have enough data. It kind of stops here, but we were advertised extremely weak Australian dollar relative to the Swiss franc for quite some time, and you can see that here. I mean, we have the Swiss franc here, we have the Australian dollar here, and this pair is just wriggling lower. Why? Because they're both going lower, but they're both going lower equally. But we have the Swiss franc that is above the Australian dollar, which is telling us that we're probably going to continue to move lower. Okay, so we started to poke into this area at probably some of these candles here. Okay, and now price continued to move lower, so we're seeking liquidity. We're seeking bullish liquidity to attract some buyers from this point on. Let's have a look at the weekly chart and see when we're getting this information. Yeah, we're getting this information probably around here. Let me draw a horizontal line here. So we're being told here, we're starting to be told here and here that we're getting very low, and then price started to move, and then we had another alert here where we had price that's actually moving closer to the mean, and we were told, let's zoom in a little, where's that line, we were told here that we were probably going to start to move higher. Okay, so price came down, we had another push, we moved up, we accumulated once, twice, and then we left. So what do we do here? Well, now we can mark off the beginning of the buy zone, which is the low of the candle that left the area of accumulation or distribution if we're selling. Mark off from here to here. Then we go to the smaller time frame, so there's a weekly area. Is there clarity? Kinda. We can let's mark off this level. We kind of went up. This kind of went down. We moved higher, so we can mark off here. Let's have a look at the 4-hour, and we'll stop there and see what it looks like there. Let me move through here, so I'm just going to close that. Yeah, notice here that this is beautiful how we have price come down, we move sideways, we moved up, we pull back, slingshot, we pull back to the slingshot once again, and this is where we left from. And so this is the beginning of the buy zone. So from here to here, so around here. I'm going to remove this one because now we've found that area. And so this is where we can expect price to bounce. Okay. Also notice that it's been tested once, tested twice. Will it hold another test? We don't know. But what we do know is price has already been down to this price point before here. Okay, and so here we have kind of a base. This candle closed above this one here, which is telling us that we actually have another buy zone, which is right here. Okay, price came down, we went up, we moved sideways, we traded a little bit, but we closed above here, and this one we closed above. So we actually have the beginning of the buy zone here at the 55.37-ish area. If we go to the hourly, we can probably refine that even more. But we also have some other areas that are interesting. We have this one here. We have this one here as well. So we have a couple of areas that are interesting, but let's have a look at the one we just looked at. Yeah, and you can see pretty clearly here how we had. It was difficult to see. We have our base just here. We have price come up, come down, move up, up. So we do have it kind of in here, which again lines up nicely with what we've seen historically, how we saw the slingshot come back. We came back. We actually went into the child, and this is where we left from. Have we been back since then? No. But we do have a couple of areas here that are interesting. We've got this one here. Price went up. Slingshot was pulled back, so we have the beginning of a buy zone here for that area. And for this one here, we have the beginning of a buy zone just at the level. This candle here kind of came back. So we have a couple of areas to watch for that pair, and we're trading in line with the very big and heavy hitting currency strength data from the monthly chart. Okay, so let's have a look on the smaller time frame. Let's go to the 4-hour chart, which is the one that the algo trader has been running on very successfully. If we reset this, let's just set the alarm on and say, tell us what's cooking. Actually, you know what? We're going to go to the hourly chart because this is more intraday. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say, tell us where we have potential trades setting up. You see now it's grinding numbers. Nothing. So there's nothing there at that level. Let's do something a little bit different. 1.8, a little bit less. Nothing there. Let's go to 1.5. 1.5. Probably have something there. Certainly at 1. No, there's nothing there either. Oh, it's crunching. Okay, let's go to 1. Or 1.1 maybe. Probably something here. Okay. We got something on the Euro Swiss franc. So let's reset this so we don't get any more alarms. Or just hit the reset button. Hit OK, and then we go and look at the Euro Swiss franc, because this is potentially looking to move higher. And note that we started to get told that this was going to happen at around here. So if we mark off that reading, yeah, we were starting to get told that we were looking to move higher from this area here. So price continues to move lower and lower and lower. Okay, but notice here that if you look at the mean here, of course we're negative. But notice here that we have the Swiss franc, which is increasing in strength relative to the euro, which is why this pair went down. This is not going down due to euro weakness. It's going down due to Swiss franc strength, which is another reason I like to ensure that I can see the lines. Where are they? Yes, draw currency strength lines. I like to see those. Probably going to cut this short, about to run out of battery. But yeah, you can see what's going on very, very clearly. But we do have a few things setting up. We're reaching this pretty nice low area here. We have this area that has been formed, this nice base. And we are having the bottoms of this currency strength begin to move higher. And we're seeing these very nice departures away from these buy zones that we probably have historically, which we can't see because we don't have enough data. We're slowly starting to see this pair turn around. But note also that we're at 1.1 or 1.0, which are the pretty low readings. So we're looking at like variance of the mean, and those are they're not too terribly significant. So I'd be cautious about getting involved at these levels just yet. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to leave it at that for the time being. If you have any questions, please post them in the video or in the Discord channel. Thanks again for watching.